As we continued on our travels following the Tropic of Capricorn across Australia, we are now trekking through the Gibson Desert, a particularly isolated section of our trip. It wasn't long after we left our overnight camp on the Talawana track that our travelling companions, Gary and Jean, came across what was for all of us a shocking sight. A four-wheel drive vehicle and trailer completely destroyed by fire. It would have been so heartbreaking not only to lose a vehicle, but also to lose all their gear, equipment and tools. How could this have happened? All we know is that a build-up of spinifex can be easily ignited by a hot exhaust or by friction if wrapped around the propeller shaft. And also the stopping on top of a clump of spinifex should be avoided. Seeing this and being out there ourselves emphasised the potential hazards of outback travel.
This is the remains of the windscreen which is melted.
We hadn't travelled far before we came across another burnt-out wreck, obviously from an earlier time. Although there was less shrubbery growing over the track, the spinifex was particularly tall through this section. Another discarded vehicle was spotted in the tall grass. The weather was perfect and the travel pleasant as we passed clumps of wildflowers and native poplars waving in the breeze. We also came across another burnt-out wreck. This track was getting a reputation. Gary and I both thought it was time for another underbody inspection. Meanwhile, the ladies were off looking at wildflowers, in this case, clumps of pink desert fringe myrtle. Once we got to the intersection with the Matu community turnoff, the track condition improved due to use and maintenance.
That's a bit better.
A small dry salt lake was handy as a place to pull over for a lunch break. We were now entering an area that on occasions could be prone to flooding. A large patch of Karijini put on a colourful display. At this point, the Talawana track joins the Canning Stock route for 38 kilometres before heading off west again. The Canning Stock route track covers 1,800 kilometres of desert from Wiluna in the south to Halls Creek in the north, and is an adventure in itself. One of the wells we passed was 23, Kalpa, which is now in ruins. A group of camels kept a nervous eye on us and decided to move on. Near the intersection where the Talawana track leaves the Canning Stock route is Georgia Bore, a reliable source of water. As well as good water, Georgia is a good campsite and even has a toilet. According to the information plaque, the bore was put in for the camp of AX Mineral Exploration Company in 1990. When the camp was vacated, the company equipped the bore with a hand pump for the use of future travellers. The next morning we bid farewell to Gary and Jean as they had planned to visit Desert Queen Baths on the Riddell River in Karijini National Park. We were continuing along the Talawana track. "82 kilometres later, we passed the turn-off to the Pangur community, where fuel and supplies are available. In the vicinity of Balfour Downs, just before the Talawana Creek, is a water tank. We pulled over here as we knew there was a Lembedel marker nearby. As stated by one of his daughters, Connie Sue Bedell, this was the original drum used to erect the Talawana plaque in 1963, the final one for the Gun Barrel Road construction party. It was then on to Newman in the Pilbara region and just 9 kilometres north of the Tropic of Capricorn. Newman was established in 1966 as a company town to support the mining of iron ore at nearby Mount Whaleback. Many things about the town are mining related. And there's that reddish tinge everywhere. A huge chunk of iron ore marks the Tropic of Capricorn. This circle of latitude, 23.4394 degrees south of the equator, marks the most southerly latitude at which the sun can appear directly overhead at noon. As Newman is on a major supply route, the Great Northern Highway, There was always plenty of trucking activity at the Capricorn Roadhouse. Next morning, we headed northwest out of Newman for Karijini National Park, just under 200 kilometres away. Karijini would have to be one of the most scenic national parks in Australia. We had booked ourselves in for 3 nights at Dale's campground, though much more time could be spent there. There are spectacular gorges, slot canyons, sheer-sided chasms, waterfalls, rocky creeks and swimming holes, all within an intriguing ancient landscape. One walking track from the circular pool lookout leads along the rim of Dale's Gorge. There are great views looking along and down into the gorge. The occasional white-trunked snappy gum balances on the edge or is seen clinging to the side of the cliff. Close to the end of the trail is the Jubilee Falls and Waterhole. The layered formations of the rocks here are simply amazing, the landscape once being an ancient seabed. A little further on is Fern Pool. In our next and final episode, we spend more time in Karijini National Park before completing the last leg of our Across Capricorn expedition. From the mining tower of Tom Price, we head for Exmouth and the Ningaloo Reef before hitting the Indian Ocean at Coral Bay.